While at the CIA, Scott Howell, a North Carolina native, interned for Jonathan Waxman and Paul Bartolotta. Then he traveled and worked in Italy before cooking at the famed Boulé in New York. Returning to North Carolina, he joined Ben Barker before opening Nana's. His entree is jolt head in broth.
Okay, first off, this is a jolt head. This is the fish that's coming off the coast of North Carolina. Some people call it porgy too. We're real successful in the restaurant with it. It's not a very expensive fish for it, so we like it as far as making money. I'm going to cut down around the gill plate. Start in. It's a fairly flat fish, but it's really clean. It's going to saute up firm. Once I get it to this point, I'll just trim it a little bit. Trim the belly. Pull the pins.
Pin bones are removed with needle nose pliers.
The thing that's kind of key about it as far as this fish is we like to keep the skin on it, making sure that all the scales are off. What we like to do is nip it right in the middle, keeping it tight, and just score the skin all the way down here. What that does is it allows instead of the fish folding up like you see sometimes when it's sauteed, the fish will fillet soft. It'll be much more relaxed, and I think it's much more tender when it's like that, when it's sauteed. So I'm going to leave it here, and we'll go to work the broth, the basil tomato broth with fresh chanterelles. So the first thing I want to do is trim the chanterelles. It's a little bit big, so we'll make them about like that. I've already rubbed these off with a damp towel. And I like to keep them when they're small like that whole. These are the first of the season, so they're nice and small, really tender. We find on the mushrooms it's better to cook them on as high heat as you can. It sears in the juices of the mushroom. These mushrooms are not very wet though, so you can go down a little bit on the heat. It depends on how much moisture is in the mushroom. Once it gets to a certain point, I don't want to cook it all the way because I'm going to cook it in the broth as well. So once it gets to a certain point, I'm going to add a little bit of butter, some shallots to finish. And I don't really want to cook the shallots hard. I just want to cook them right at the end. Just for a minute, I'm going to turn the chanterelles on low and let them cook while we're setting the other broth.
The broth begins by softening chopped leeks and shallots. Then mushrooms are added.
Once the chanterelles are about to this point, we'll add them into here.
Ultimately, all of these ingredients will go into the broth.
Let it work on about a low to medium heat. You don't want to just kill it with heat. Then, I think it's the best to control it. We're going to put a little bit of fish stock in here. You don't want to have a whole lot. You want to have enough just to kind of just come to the top of the mushrooms. Once we're at a boil, we're going to add the tomatoes. These are local golden and red pear tomatoes that I get from a guy right down the way. A touch of roasted garlic puree.
more fish stock.
A little bit of salt and pepper. It's not really a stew, but it is kind of a stew, so I'll set that on the back while we cook the fish.
Both sides are seasoned with salt and pepper.
It's Wonder flour, a little, just a touch, not much.
A little olive oil is in the pan.
And since we've cut the skin, the fish stays flat, it doesn't bow up. Light brown. Once we get it over to this side, a little bit of herbs.
Parsley, sage, and thyme.
Touch of butter. Take the butter. Let it get the juices from the fish. Let it baste just a little bit, and then we'll finish it in the oven.
350 degrees for 2 to 3 minutes. The broth is finished with basil puree and basil oil.
Just bring it off. Touch of basil oil. Fish right on top. And take a few of the chanterelles. Just run them right on top.
Fresh basil leaves are the final garnish.
We're done.